The departure of Henry Cavill as the Man of Steel within the DC cinematic universe has been the topic of discussion ever since it was revealed that James Gunn would be taking over creative control over this long-standing DC universe. It is a topic that has been discussed endlessly, and it will most likely continue to be discussed until the time that a new Superman is cast. Once the new Man of Steel has been cast, the comparisons will begin, and thus the endless debate will carry forward. The point is, people are upset with the change and even more outraged over the fact that you have not liked and subscribed to this channel yet. As we move closer to the 2025 release of Superman Legacy, debate and rumors have been all over the place. People have been speculating about the actor that will be replacing Cavill. People have been speculating over what we can expect from this new movie. People have been speculating about the age of the new Clark Kent, and most importantly, many have just been wondering why. To the credit of Gunn, he has been doing a relatively good job interacting with fans on social media, even taking the time to respond to some rumors. Over the last couple of months, rumors about the DCU has been rampant. Having someone with actual knowledge respond is a breath of fresh air. One of the biggest points of contention within the DCU has been the treatment of Henry Cavill. Many feel like the former Man of Steel actor has been horribly misused. Although I do agree with this sentiment, it is worth pointing out that the blame for this cannot be placed on James Gunn. With that said, Gunn has recently revealed a little more detail regarding what ultimately led to the departure of Cavill as Superman. I will warn you though, this revelation does play into the speculation that fans had all along. Many felt like Henry Cavill was being disrespected by Warner Bros. More importantly, toward the end, he was just being jerked around. James Gunn recently took to Twitter and stated that he was being approached to write a brand new Superman movie before he was ever appointed as the new CEO. On Twitter, he stated that he started with Superman Legacy under the direction of WB 6 months before his appointment. If this sounds like insanity to you, you might not be far off. During this time, Henry Cavill was making a cameo appearance in Black Adam. After his cameo, he also took to social media to announce that he is officially back as the Man of Steel. This was done under the direction of Warner Bros., who told him to make the announcement. The day after the announcement, Gunn was asked to start with Superman Legacy. During this time, the Joker director Todd Phillips was the front runner to take over at DC, but after he declined, WB decided to go with Gunn. Why they would ask Cavill to announce his return and then appoint Gunn to write a new Superman is beyond me. Keep in mind, they asked James Gunn to write a new Superman before he was appointed as CEO. At this stage, there was only plans to bring him in as a producer and director for the new Man of Steel. Gunn stated that it was clear from the start that Cavill would not fit into the Superman Legacy rewrite. This means that the studio was telling Cavill one thing while working behind the scenes on something else. I have covered this topic in the past, but it is very clear that some within the studio never really liked Cavill. We can speculate about the reason, but the result speaks for itself. I do not believe that there is any deep conspiracy, but rather just a difference of opinion between executives regarding who should wear the red cape. To the credit of James Gunn, he has spoken out about this issue. He stated in a previous interview, "I like Henry, I think he's a great guy." He continued, "I think he's getting dicked around by a lot of people, including the former regime at this company. I believe that this assessment is spot on. Under the previous leadership, Superman has always been a byproduct. Although the first Man of Steel movie was released with much success, the response from executives was lackluster. Instead, they chose to double down on Batman, and with that also scrapped plans for a follow-up to the first Man of Steel. What we got in its stead was a Batman vs Superman movie that no one asked for. Although I enjoyed this film quite a bit, it did at times feel like Superman was competing for screen time. By killing off Superman, Bruce Wayne was now the leading man for the first few acts of the Justice League. He was the recruiter and founder of the group, and with that also became the leader. At its core, this is not an inherent problem, but when it happens at the expense of Superman, it is understandable why some might have a hard time accepting it. Personally, I have always favored Batman over Superman, so for me it was not a big issue. With that said, I also favor Henry Cavill, so to see all of this happen does leave me with a fair bit of resentment toward previous leadership. Ultimately, the decision has been made, and thus we will now have to accept it. As we look forward to what is next, many questions about this reboot still remain unclear. Although we still do not know who will be cast in the newly vacant role, we do have some clarity regarding what the part will entail. Since Gunn has made it clear that Cavill was not right for this part, the logical conclusion would be that they are looking for a younger Man of Steel. The new plan for the DCU is to create a universe that can spread over the course of 10 years. This means that the cast will have to be a mainstay for that duration. A now 40-year-old Henry Cavill will be well within his 50s when this current DC universe concludes. Gunn wants 10 years from the start of the first new Superman Legacy movie in 2025, and thus most agree that a Superman in his middle 20s would be ideal. The casting of Batman will be a bit more complicated though. The next Batman will see the return of Robin. In this version, Bruce will be the father of Robin, and thus we can assume that the actor playing the part will at least be in his late 30s if not middle 40s. It seems like Robin will have a much larger part to play within this new DCU. It was previously reported that some executives were keen on keeping Ben Affleck in the role. It is confirmed by Gunn though that a new actor will be taking on the role. This will however not stop the Robert Pattinson version from continuing. The next Flash movie set to release later this year will be the reset for the whole universe. Ultimately, only time will tell how all of this is going to play out. One thing is certain though, and that is the fact that there is plenty of exciting things ahead for fans.